It's just gone lunchtime. This is All Angles here on eNCA. Good afternoon. I'm Masakora. It is that time of the day when we give you an update on how far some of the stories we've been following up for you throughout the course of the day on Channel have advanced. Here's your lunchtime update. Our reporters are out and about bringing you the latest on today's top stories. I am joined by Sli Masikane in Bloemfontein. Pule Letshwiti-Jones is in Ekurhuleni and Ayesha Ismail is in Cape Town. Sli, let's start with you, of course, in Bloemfontein. Thabo Bester appearing physically in the local magistrate's court there since his first appearance after landing from Tanzania. All eyes, of course, were on the interaction between himself and girlfriend Nandipha Magudumana, as today was their first time seeing each other since that day in April. But he complained about his treatment at Sli.
He certainly did. He had a number of complaints as well as a list of grievances with regards to some items he says are missing since his return from Tanzania. And of course we saw very brief court proceedings, but quite interestingly the interaction between Dr. Nandipha and Thabo Bester, as well as the co-accused in this matter. What I found quite interesting is that it is very clear that all 12 accused do know each other in some way or another, and of course it was also quite interesting to note the intimate moments between Dr. Nandipha as well as Thabo Bester. You know, they held hands at some points, they were gazing into each other's eyes, and if you were able to sort of lip read, you could tell that at some point Bester did ask her if she was okay, and he also acknowledged his co-accused fist pumping many of them, greeting them, seemingly quite excited to be inside the courtroom with the co-accused. But then let's just take a listen, of course, to his complaints with regards to his treatment at the Mampuru prison.
Instructions which I received from the fifth accused, just to place on record. Firstly, that he's been inhumanely treated at the Mampuru Correctional Center. That he spends almost 23 hours being cuffed and in his cell.
How long?
23 hours per day, being cuffed and in his cell.
Handcuffed?
Handcuffed.
Every day?
On a daily basis. Worship, I can place it on record that before these proceedings I went to see the people accused in the cells, the court cells. He was still handcuffed, even though he was locked up in a cell, a holding cell. Worship, I believe that indeed those are inhumane conditions. And I hold instructions to make an application to the higher court pertaining those.
All right, Pule, let's come to you. Of course, law enforcement authorities have confiscated equipment allegedly used by Zamazamas in Germiston, that is on the East Rand. What exactly have police confiscated there today? And any arrests?
Well, same as we saw in Rivoli, but this time around the operation wasn't quite intense. Of course, it was a joint operation between members of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department and, of course, South African Police Services. And what really they confiscated today was mining machines such as pendukas, which are used for gold refining, amongst other illegal mining machines that have been stored in the Makausi informal settlement here in Germiston. The police, of course, haven't effected any arrests as yet, but they did discover a massive hole which was an entry point for the illegal miners, famously known as Zamazamas, in one of the informal settlements. So that was sort of like a haven where they operate and, you know, process all of these resources in the form of illegal mining as well. But by the time we got there, we were told that these illegal miners had gotten a tip-off and they fled the scene. So as for now, no arrests have been made, but we also do understand that the municipality has established a mining forum committee which looks intensively into the illegal minings happening in and around Ekurhuleni. Let's just take a listen to what Kilebogile Tepa, the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department spokesperson, had to say earlier on when we spoke to her.
From the early hours of this morning, we've been conducting this illegal mining operation within the Makausu informal settlement, where various illegal mining implements have been confiscated. Of course, this is not an operation that is isolated. It is the Gauteng law enforcement officials, comprising of the South African Police Services, the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, the Gauteng Crime Prevention Wardens, and of course, the PRASA. Thus far, we haven't been able to effect arrests, but we are quite confident that since this is an ongoing operation, they will be brought to book. It's quite disheartening, to think the least, that, these operations are being conducted in the very same dwellings that they are at, and yet they don't come forward to report to law enforcement agencies. And we, as the law enforcement agencies for this area, have taken upon ourselves to ensure that such operations are continuous. But however, this cannot be in isolation. We truly recommend that they make us aware of such activities within their place of residence.
Ayesha, I'm going to end off with you, especially because we're expecting quite a few press conferences with regards to what's been happening in Cape Town. A few days of violence there in the Western Cape because of the taxi strike. How are things looking where you are today?
So, Masejo, things appear to be quite quiet in the Western Cape, and especially in the Cape Metropole. Now, yesterday we saw those violent scenes where buses were being attacked and torched, private cars were being attacked as well as people wanting to go to work. We've seen people being assaulted, those who wanted to get into town to come to work, and that violence that we saw playing in the city yesterday forced the city of Cape Town to go to the Western Cape High Court to seek an urgent interdict, which was granted late last night. So today we went onto the N2 inbound and outbound, as well as the R300. The roads were quiet. We know of isolated incidents of stone throwing and burning barricades. And this morning we went to Mitchell's Plain, where we saw the mayor of Cape Town and some of his other officials boarding a My City bus from Mitchell's Plain into the city. And this is what he had to say to us on that bus ride.
I think it's an important victory. Obviously, when people don't respect the rule of law, it could be considered a symbolic victory, but I think it's an important symbolic victory that sends a clear message to taxi thugs and gangsters that if they do break the terms of that court order, they will also be held in contempt. The key, I think, victory or progress that it has already delivered this morning is that we've had a perfectly peaceful morning this morning in Cape Town. And I've just come to join this bus now to see that our buses are being escorted in and out of town and around the city, and that our commuters who are using our buses can do so peacefully and safely, because our first priority is protecting the commuters who are trying to get around the city. And so we are doing a great job. You can see we're on the N2 there. We are passing very strong law enforcement presence, very strong SAPS presence that is keeping the peace and protecting our commuters.
And Ayesha, we know that at 2 o'clock, the ANC in the Western Cape, along with the SACP and COSATU, will hold a press briefing about what they think should happen in the Western Cape. And then possibly at 2 o'clock will be Begicele. That briefing by the ANC Western Cape expected in this hour, and we'll take you there live as soon as it gets underway. But that was your eNCA lunchtime update from all angles with reporters Ayesha, Ismail, Pule, Letshwiti-Jones and Sli Masikane. Thank you, team. Let's leave it there for now.